Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rashad Shelton. I've been a part of the Stronghold Sultans for about a week, and I am very excited to be a part of this growing group and looking forward to learning with you all. So the video series that I've been contemplating on starting has to do with a lot of the reflections and the conversations that I've had with men inside of my tow truck as I'm towing their cars from one point to another, and the conversations that I've had with other men in my community. And what's interesting is, even though everybody's own situations is unique, the theme revolves around the same issue, the same topic that all of our situations comes down to. And that the reason why that we react the way that we do, good, better, and different, it stems from this issue of seeking validation. The question is, by whom and for what intention or for what purpose? Oftentimes, we see a lot of people that's, doing this performative acts of, whatever. And like, I'll just use myself as an example. Because of the lack of a present father figure growing up, I had a chip in my shoulder, and I wanted to seek the external validation of others, including my father, that by performing certain acts of accomplishments from an athletic perspective, I was going to get that respect. I was going to be able to impress, these key individuals that I had in high esteem in my mind. If you were somebody that doubted me, I was going to basically, shut up all the haters and the doubters, right? Once I started, taking off these objectives that I was, accomplishing. And it just became this vicious cycle where the moment that you would accomplish, these things, there was always something else. There would be something that somebody would say. There would be something that, you would see, and then all of a sudden, all your focus is just, lasered in on that one thing. And it just becomes like a consuming cycle where you end up losing who you really are. It takes you, a period where you have to just stop and figure out, like, what are you doing? And so, one of the things I wanted to discuss is the reason why I wanted to share, these videos is because, one, there's a lot of content out there that is addressing a lot of the issues that we're seeing in our society today, where we have men pointing the finger at feminism, as, a big reason as to why the state of marriages are what they are today. Then you got the women that are pointing the finger at the red pill movement as to the reason why that men aren't men anymore. And there's truth in both arguments. But the question isn't about, what is going on. The question is, how do we heal? How do we get to the point where we acknowledge that what happened in our past, we can't undo, but we can take the lessons from the past, acknowledge it, address it, heal from it, and then move on with clarity and purpose because of it. And that's the part where there's a lack of content that's out there in social media. Obviously, we know the reason why, because number one, these type of conversations that we're having right now, it's not comfortable. It's not. Being in solitude, to sit alone, like when I first took on this tow truck job, I'm working 10 hours and I'm in the truck all day by myself, alone in my thoughts, and it gives you the time to think about, how did I get here? And there's some uncomfortable moments where you have to address, it's like, dude, like, yeah, that wasn't pretty. But subhanAllah, I'm so grateful I went through that, because now I get to see the wisdom behind the meaning of submission to Allah. And that obviously the qadr of Allah is that whatever was meant for you would never miss you. And whatever was not meant for you, you would, it's never going to get to you. So, that being stated, I wanted to share this in hopes that it would open up the conversation for men to feel authentic. We could stop with the games. We could pull out the mask. We don't have to perform for anybody. If anything, we get to be real with ourselves as to acknowledging the pain and the hurt that we have experienced, the root of such pain. And once we're able to do so, then we're actually able to say, you know what? In spite of what has happened, I'm able to then say to myself, the buck stops and it starts with me. I'm not going to allow the trauma of what happened to me to get to my children. Yeah, my wife may have left me. Yeah, my father may not have been there for me when I needed him the most, or whatever the case may be, right? But that's not going to stop me from being the man that I was meant to be. And this is the first step. So, I hope that this is a good indicator of the type of content that I'm looking at producing, or not rather producing, but what I'm hoping to start as a conversation. And that I don't care about, what happened to you, as in like what other people did to you, but more so of what are you going to do about it? How are you able to grow from it? Can you be at peace with the fact of your shortcomings and acknowledging the fact that this is an area where Allah is working on you? And to relish instead of dread the moments of solitude where you're sitting in your room or wherever you are and you're having to face every single one of your insecurities. And you're able to answer the question as to why is it that I am allowing this to drive my decisions only for the sake of being validated by people who really don't care about me? Why am I performing for them when I should be at peace with where I am and be content with the qadr of Allah? And from there we can actually move from a sense of peace, from a sense of clarity. And then once we establish what our purpose is, and we already know what our purpose is, but in terms of how we get to seek out and achieving that purpose and striving for that purpose, we're actually able to move from a place of understanding who we really are. And therefore we don't have to perform anymore. So I hope that what I'm saying makes sense. The content that I'm looking at trying to portray is going to be more so of certain key topics. I will be using some of my personal experience and some of the conversations I've had with other men to kind of illustrate the point of these topics. But at the end, I just hope that this is a reminder that, no matter what is going on, we got to look at ourselves in the mirror and we have to say to ourselves, how can I be a better man because of this? And when we do that, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Because once we're at peace with ourselves, that's where the fun starts. So, that being said, I'm looking forward to undergoing this journey with you all. Looking forward to learning with you all. And outside of that, see y'all in the next video.